Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, the Queen Bee, Danny Wallace. How are you feeling? As we chat this morning to the devilishly handsome, the fabulously wonderful, the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. FIdel Beauhill, the modern man. Good morning. Jodie Sol, good morning. Babna Reddy, good morning. Elise Woodbine, good morning. The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon, good morning, sir.
Shut up, for f***'s sake. Jesus.
The fantastic Lizzie Jackson Barrett, good morning. Josephine Sandra, everybody, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Shake your bums. It is Friday. Welcome to the show, Rise Up Show. I have got a bumper show for you this morning, like a proper bumper show for you this morning. We have online business royalty joining us this morning. We have the incredible modern man joining us this morning, the kingmaker himself, FIdel Beauhill. We have got Sally Lorimer joining us this morning. We've got a bit of all sorts happening. So let's get on in here for a cuddle. Are you excited? How has your week been? Get on in here. Tell me about it. Tell me what you're excited about the weekend. We are sliding into the DMs of the weekend saying, hey, how you doing? The sun is shining here in Preston. I don't have my flip chart today. I feel a bit weird. I'm all on the wonk this morning. And that's because my flip chart is downstairs in the car, ready for me to hit the motorway to go and do a bit of a planny plan with some of my, with one of my incredible business buds. We are making some serious plans for the rest of the year together. So I'm really, really super excited. Good morning, you lot. Who's first past the post this morning? Jo Walsmith. Good morning, my lady. It looks like a full to bursting show today. It absolutely is. We have got a lot to get through, my cherubs. Buckle your seatbelts. Strap yourselves in. We are in for a ride. Kay Davis is in the house. How are you, my angel? One of our incredible speakers. Amy Blaney has finally got her golden ticket. About bloody time too, madam. When I got the little ping this morning, I was like, yes, Amy. She's got her ticket to Be Inspired, which we will be right now, next week, at the beginning of day two of Be Inspired. So please, please, please get your tickets. Be quick. You are running out of time. So Amy Blaney's got her ticket. Morning Hive. I am feeling excited today. We always call the week before a big event like this Wobble Week. It's the week where we go, oh, are we going to sell any tickets? It's the week we go, oh, have I done enough? Is it a good enough show? Is it going to be amazing? Is it everything that I've promised for you? And then you kind of come through the other side of that and you realize, yes, it absolutely chuffing is. So make sure you get your tickets, my angels. So yes, it's gel nails that Nina. I messaged my nail tech. I'm going to get my nails done. So for anybody that knew me post lockdown, I know a lot of you are new to the audience, but post lockdown, as well as doing all of this that you see now, I'm a singer and I would go out, and part of my self-care was getting my nails done. And I have been a year without false nails. And that has been the first year in about a decade where I haven't got false nails on. So I'm very excited. I will try not to snog my nail tech when I see her next Tuesday. I'm very excited. Morning, Jules Kelly, one of our incredible sponsors for Being Inspired. She's sponsored the media panel. Thank you so much for that. That sponsorship money is going to the Fly Anyway Foundation. And we're absolutely thrilled. My hair looks lush. Thanks, Gems. I washed it. I had a shower and everything, so I'm feeling clean. I'm feeling good. I am shaking my bum. It's Friday. I literally peed my pants with excitement when I got it. I bet you did. We need, and this is going to be the whole, look at that. Wallace is on the go this morning. Only a week to be inspired. Grab your tickets. Yeah, you're going to need tenner and tissues, I reckon, if you're of the lady persuasion. But without further ado, to get you further excited, to get your, I don't know, whatever it is, piqued, your curiosity piqued, if you're feeling a little curious, to give your fence a shake, if that is what you are sat on, I've got two of our phenomenal guest speakers joining us right now on the show. One is one of the most loved and respected business strategists in the online space, a personal friend and mentor of mine who absolutely changed my life. A lot of you have been following this journey that I've been on for the past maybe 7 or 8 years now. And only really in the last couple of years, when this human being came into my life, did things really start to heat up. So everything that you see really is down to the interactions that I've had with this woman. We've got Lisa Johnson joining us. We've also got the kingmaker himself, one of the men in my life that I could talk to for hours and hours and hours about how things are changing and how the male and the female, the masculine and the feminine and everything in between has its rightful place with love, with honor, with respect and with dignity. We've got FIdel Beauhill, Lisa Johnson, FIdel Beauhill. Get in here. Here he is, look. Oh, look now. Last time me and Lisa,
today.
who did it? Look, we got Lisa. We need your Wonder Woman costume, Lisa.
Where is my Wonder Woman costume?
The
This
last
is
time,
right now.
the last time me and Lisa did the show together, we did Wonder Woman. Did we? You actually donned the Wonder Woman costume. You were hot, babes. Like I was here for it.
I just have one, like in the wardrobe, just for times when you might need a Wonder Woman costume.
About the house. Just like right now, about the house, I have a poo costume.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I can't even tell anybody why I've got a poo costume, but I do have a poo costume. I will be wearing it at Be Inspired at some point, and you'll have to buy a ticket to find out more about
I don't want to know why.
I'm excited to see you in it, to be fair.
I was doing some training yesterday. I had an intensive day yesterday with a fabulous Marilyn Okoro. She's one of our speakers. She's going to be on day one. She is phenomenal. She is a medalist, an Olympian medalist. Came yesterday. We was doing some work on a talk and other bits and pieces, and it arrived. So I'm there with Olympian Marilyn Okoro trying on my poo suit. I don't know what my life is anymore. I don't know what my life is anymore. But enough of poo suits. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll start with you.
That's all right.
You're speaking on day 2 twice at Be Inspired.
Yeah, I'm not sure the second one counts as me speaking. I will be obviously.
You'll be opening your mouth and sounds will be coming out.
They will. I'm not singing. Don't anyone get the wrong idea here. There will be no singing.
Anything can happen at Be Inspired.
No, I'm really excited about it, especially excited about my talk, because normally when I do talks, I talk about business because that's what I'm all about. It's, I've had this massive journey in my life where I've gone from like in debt to 3 million a year in a few years, in 4 years. And so that's normally what I talk about. But actually, I really wanted to talk about something that I think will help people more than that, because it's not all about money. It's not all about how much we can make and how successful we are. What it's about is who we are as people. And so I'm going to be, which I hardly ever do. I've done this once before on a stage because it terrifies me. I'm going to be talking about my story and how being bullied and the things that have happened to me in my life that I don't talk about very much have led me to really fuel my success and get to where I am now. Because if I hadn't had the adversity that has happened in my life, I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be the person I am. And I know there's lots of people going through lots of stuff right now, and I want to reassure them that it doesn't matter where they've been, it matters where they're going. And so that's what I'm going to talk about.
And these things are a catalyst, aren't they? And, I know, FIdel, me and you have talked about some of these things, the things that happen to us. Actually, when you guys watching at home, you look at people who you perceive to be successful people in whatever area of their life. They might have a successful marriage or be perceived to have successful marriage. You might see them have a successful business, but actually there is a whole roller coaster of things that happen, including adversity. And actually, success can't happen without a degree of adversity, arguably. Would you agree?
Massively agree.
It's the yin and the yang, isn't it? One can't exist without the other.
I've got a tattoo of that.
You have?
So much. I think it's really, really true that let's take an example in business. If you're in business and you're new in business and you've had no adversity in your life, we know in business that business is going to get hard. We also know that usually when people hit an obstacle, which you will hit in business, if you've had no adversity, you'll go, well, I tried, it didn't work, I'll give up now. anyone that's been through any adversity, we're very used to climbing over, climbing under, finding a way around to survive. And so when we come in business to an obstacle, we just go, oh, we need to get over this obstacle, and we do it. And I think that it makes a huge difference. So if you've had adversity in your life, instead of thinking like this is the thing that's going to stop me, think of it as the thing that's going to make you get there.
Yeah, it's the tinder wood you put in the fire. What say you, Fidel?
Tinder.
Let's talk about Tinder.
Listen, so I recently did a challenge. You probably saw me paste all over the whole of the interwebs. I did a David Goggins challenge, running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours.
It was phenomenal.
I still can't quite get my head around it, even on reflection a little bit. It's mental. But David Goggins is one of my kind of like inspirations. He's a total nutcase. I don't know whether any of you guys have kind of come across him. But one of the things he talks about, which is something I totally believe in, is although we have like challenges that come our way that we have to deal with, one of the other good things to do is to choose challenge. Do you know what I mean? And he talks about putting a cookie in the cookie jar, right? So all of these things, whether you've chosen to do it or not, every time you then face stuff that you have to, you can look in your cookie jar and go, do you know what? My cookie jar's full. I've been here before. I've done worse than this. There's nothing else that life can throw at me that's worse than that I have already come through and overcome. So the more cookies you have in your cookie jar, when those tough times come along, you know, you've got something to munch on when you go through the little journey.
I love it. This is why I'm a plentiful in body. My cookie jar is always overflowing. There's been plenty of adversity and a lot of cookies.
Cookies.
I'm using that.
Fidel, I love, you have the mantle kingmaker, you have your community, the modern man. You also have a women's community, the modern woman, of which I'm a member of. One of the feistiest places on the internet, and I love it. I know, but interestingly, a community run by one man for women gives you great insight and gives you great content. And understanding into the female psyche and the crazy things that we think about and experience, but also I think
it's given me the understanding that you lot can't be understood. But yeah,
but also it's interesting having a guy hold that safe space. For there is very, very few men that can hold that safe space. And we need more of it. And this is the reason why, A, I love having you on the show. B, I love talking to you in general. C, I love following you. And also why I wanted you to join the lineup and be inspired. Because here's the thing. We run, you will notice in this kind of little corner of the internet, our little corner of the internet, it's very female centric. It's very, we want things to be safe for women in the area. But actually, I think the world is a poorer place if we decide if we're going to push men out of the space. Actually, we need to understand how we come together and understand each other better. Growing up, for me, there were very, very few. In fact, I was talking to my sister about this the other day. We can't count any good men that we were around. We can't find any. We was looking for good men. And the only good man I could think of was Ian Gray, my music teacher. That's it. And all of the family men. And the more we find out as we get older, the worse it gets. But actually, coming across you and seeing what you've got and seeing the modern, like the people in the Modern Men Club, the people that come on the Council of Kings with you, people who want to do better, see better, be better for themselves, but still stand within their masculinity, not hide any of that, I think is a massively important conversation. So thank you for joining us. Tell us more.
Wow. Thank you. What a lovely kind of introduction. Yeah, it's interesting. I was having a conversation because I keep finding myself in these women-only spaces or predominantly women spaces, like the Be Live thing. I looked on the thing and lo and behold, there's a load of wonderful women and little old me. I'm in a couple of other groups as well as the only man, which is really interesting. And I remember when I first set up the Modern Woman Club, there was a few really vocal people that did not want me in there. And in the end, I'm going to talk about some of this when I'm on stage next week for sure.
Get your ticket.
And there was this they were almost displaying a lot of masculinity towards me. It was all very aggressive and a lot of well, if you haven't got a woman in the men's club, then you shouldn't be in here. And I'm like, this isn't like a government sponsored initiative. Like this is, and it's Facebook. There are plenty of other women only spaces. But anyway, in the kind of essence of harmony, I stepped out of there, and a few months later I started getting lots of messages from the women in the group going, you need to come back, you need to come back, you need to come back. And I did, and a handful of women, not a lot, a handful of women left, and hundreds more joined. But it was the wording around it that was really, really interesting for me. This concept of, because there was a man there, that it was no longer a safe space.
There we go. And
that broke my heart. It makes me really sad, and it encapsulates everything that I'm all about, because the essence of masculinity is there for protection. It's there to hold space. It's there to provide safety and security, like the masculine, whether it's within us as men or women, or masculine as a group, or as an energy. All of it is there. One of its key attributes is about safety and protection. And when women start thinking of a space not being safe because it has a man in it, that's how we know we're in trouble as a society. That's how we know we're in trouble. And everything I do is about promoting, embodying, and showing what positive masculinity looks like.
Yeah. And like I said, one of the reasons why I'm blessed and honored to have you on the stage, and anything that, you know, we could do together, or, you know, sharing that stage together, just shows that you can be a feminist and still be okay with being in a masculine. You just be like, if we want equality, we've got to choose how we do that. We do that together, or we do that by kicking everybody out. And that's we can talk, you know, on a number of things. We could talk about, you know, classism or racism, or, you know, the differences between the LGBTQ community and us. But the more that we do things together, the more that we can go forward. And I think that united front for all of us is the important thing, right?
Without doubt. And it's, do you know what? Like, I don't even pretend to have all of the answers.
No.
What I am doing is leading the conversation and trying to get people, like, we need to talk about this, because it's uncharted territory before. You know, we've not been here. We're in a very kind of a new place in society where more and more women are getting more and more empowered, but through their masculine energy. More and more men are actually stepping into their feminine energy a little bit, and we've got lots of massive divorce rates, depression, mental health issues, and all of this sort of stuff. And I think, and men and women, the way I see it, unfortunately, seem to be moving further and further and further and further apart, and understanding each other less and less and less and less and less. And the whole my whole purpose is about turning that around and bringing men and women back together again with a bit more understanding, better communication, and just talking about it. With the caveat is, we're not leaving out all of the other people in between, but I can't speak on what it is to be transgender or LGBTQ, because I'm not, and I wouldn't pretend to be that arrogant, but I do open the conversation with lots of people in that community, which is brilliant.
Yeah. But we can't. I mean, it's a big thing. Like, when we start to look at the whole, it's a big. We can't do the whole thing in one go. So, you know, being catalysts for everything. I know Lisa, particularly, like with regards to money and success, that conversation is often a difficult conversation to have and to be had, to the detriment of you actually getting press and being celebrated for your achievements. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about on the PR panel.
Yeah, and I think that there's a really interesting thing around women talking about money and talking about success, and how, you know, I was in a group just this year. It was the beginning of this year, or it might have been the end of last year.
It's been March for about 12 months now.
It has, hasn't it? I was in a group at the end, I think it was the end of last year, and it was about PR. And so I went in there, and we all had to do an introduction of who we are. And I introduced myself as a multi-7-figure business strategist. And because that's how I introduced myself, they had hundreds of complaints, and I got kicked out. Because I talked about money, and that's disgusting that I talked about money during a pandemic. You know, never mind the fact that the people that are making the money during a pandemic are the ones allowing everyone else on furlough. They're the ones giving back to the economy. It was just seen as bad. And it really made me realize that we need more women talking about money. We need to stop. If a man had said that, I do not think we would have had the same reaction. I think it's because it's a female thing, and we need to change that. And so I took that Didn't need to go in that PR group because I used that as a massive piece of PR that went in about 4 newspapers. But you use the negativity, don't you? Like that's what it's about. But I think it's really important that we start talking about money in a way that, you know, we've come so far with the things that we're allowed to talk about that aren't seen as bad anymore. Right. And yet money, which is just a thing that we use, is still seen as vulgar, and we want more of it, but we're not going to get more of it if we see something as vulgar. It's crazy to me.
It's crackers, absolutely crackers. And like I say, one of the reasons why we've taken that to the media panel is one of the things that we want to lift up. And we're working with Joe Swan from Chocolate PR to have these conversations ongoing, just even after Be Inspired, is to allow for people, particularly women, marginalized communities in the online space, to be lifted up in the press instead of it just being the same old names in inverted commas bricks and mortar businesses. If I look across our community, FIdel, Lisa, lots and the hundreds of us really pouring money and taxes back into the economy when the well is drying up, then why is then when we're saying, hey, do you know what? These are the things that we're doing. These are what we're shouting about. Here are our stories. They all start kind of retreating and go, we don't want to know about that. We want to know about how terrible things are. Tell us about how terrible these vaccines are and what salacious stuff. So, you know, Be Inspired really gives us an opportunity to bring those conversations to the table to as many of you as possible. So, Lisa, if anyone's sat on the fence right now with regards to a Be Inspired ticket, what would you say to those people?
I mean, can we just look at the price? Like, I think it's remarkable that you're putting this on for the price it is. You know, I've been to lots of these things that are like £500-600 to hear the kind of things that you guys are going to be hearing here, like the kind of value and motivation that you guys are going to be taking away. And it's like, it's at a ridiculously low price. Like, I would be snapping it up. You don't get this many people in one place who are at the top of their game. And I think that one of the big things to remember is it's about networking too. Like, think of how many new people you're going to meet and what doors does that open for you? I think it's a great thing that you're doing. And the fact that so much of it is going towards a charitable foundation, you know, we give money to charity anyway. Let's give money to charity and be able to hear these amazing speakers.
Thanks, FIdel.
Wow, you're good at that, aren't you?
What about you? You got to
go on. I want to buy a ticket.
I mean, we're lucky, even being a part of it, trying to bring people as close as possible to an in real life event is what we're trying to do, is what we're trying to achieve. That I can't wait to get you all on one of my real stages when we can start running events again later on this year. But this is as close as we can bring them into a TV studio. FIdel, what are you excited about?
Listen, I have been quiet for the past 12 months in terms of speaking. I've been doing a little drip of lives and stuff like that, but I haven't engaged in hardly any of these online events at all this year. The thought of just kind of speaking into my laptop just kills it for me. Like, I'm an extrovert. I like to be on stage. I like to speak to people. I like to feel the energy. I like to give my energy off. I like to connect. All of that stuff. But obviously, as soon as you said we've got A, as soon as you invited me, but B, we've got a stage. Like, you know, there's gonna be other people there and all that. I'm like, I'm in. And I'm like, I'm bursting at the seams with kind of stuff to say and put out there that has just been held in over this last year. Because listen, this year has actually been incredible, hasn't it? You know, there was lots of, right at the beginning, I was kind of moaning about it and everything else like that. But I have not learned so much about myself, about the stuff that I teach and practice and coaching and everything else like that. It's just been a massive opportunity to just kind of
walking around like this.
Yeah. Literally, and go really deep, you know, go really deep on subjects, on topics, spend time reading, spend time listening to things, spend time in conversation, spend time thinking, meditating and all of that. And now it's like, I'm done now. Lay out.
Come on, world.
I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think all the speakers are going to feel exactly the same way. And we're going to set the place on fire, right?
That's exactly it. And it's bringing that kind of energy on the other look. Lisa's like, yes, that.
Get me there.
But this is it. The difference between this, and I think this is the important thing for all of you listening right now, the difference between what we are doing next week and this, for example, or the summits that we've been going to online and all of, that kind of Zoom situation that we've been in.
Yeah.
Yes, we're delivering it on Zoom, but you are getting professional trained speakers on a stage in their glory, in their environment, where they deliver at their best, where they give their best, and being able to absorb some of that energy. Like I said, it's as close as I can get you to them until September this year. So with that in mind, if you are wanting something to supercharge you moving on as we start to peep around the corner of not lockdown, then this is probably, this moment in time is an opportunity to seize, right? He's like, yes.
Not lockdown. That phrase, not lockdown.
We're getting out of lockdown, the not lockdown situation. Lisa, FIdel, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Lisa, how do people follow you?
Follow me on Instagram at Lisa Johnson Strategist.
Perfection. FIdel, how do people follow you?
Come join the groups. If you're a man, the Modern Man Club. If you're a woman, the Modern Woman Club. Or just follow me, FIdel Beauhill.
I'm coming into the Modern Woman Club.
Lisa, you will love
it. Lisa, come in.
All right, my darlings, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time this morning. I can't wait to see you both next week. Lisa Johnson, FIdel Beauhill, are incredible speakers for next week. Just two of them for Be Inspired. It is going to be absolutely incredible. If you have not got your ticket yet, please do grab it. Now, that's only half the show, my darlings. We have got the phenomenal Sally Lorimer joining us this morning. She emailed me last night. She's like, I'm really excited. I was like, yeah, me too. I can't wait. We're all fizzy, we're all crackly. We have set up the stage for her this morning to come and join us and talk about all things wellness. Sally Lorimer, get in here.
Morning, Danny.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I will say I'm on my phone because my laptop wasn't playing this morning. So if someone tries to ring me, I'll be frantically trying to shut them down.
That's all right. My mum is absolutely terrible. She rings at the most inopportune. She knows I go live every single morning at 9:30. She knows that I have training on a Monday and a Wednesday night. Yet still, when does she call? Those times. So don't you fret. You're in good company.
Hey ho, it is what it is.
So Sally, tell us about what it is that you do, my darling.
What do I do? So I work in care. So I'm a care manager. So my background is health and social care. So that's what I do 9 to 5. Well, I say 9 to 5. That's what I do generally during the week.
Not 9 to 5 hours,
are they not? Especially during a pandemic. Nothing like it. But my main passion, you want to call it passion, hobby, whatever you want to call it, is all about well-being. Is all about helping people to create plans, take action to improve their health and happiness. Is pretty much what I do.
Before we get into that, can I just say on behalf of everybody that's got anybody that is cared for, thank you so much for all of the work that you put in. It has been hard. My dad's in care. He's in a care home. He's at a neurological care centre. And the amount of work that goes into keeping our loved ones safe and well is phenomenal. So thank you so much on behalf. Can we give Sally some love for the industry, please?
And
to
all those
phenomenal.
Carers, all the people that do it every single day. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing. It's yeah.
So being in that industry obviously must have, piqued your interest into wellness and what that looks like. Is that how you got there?
Well, there's a bit to it. So yes, so I've been in the industry for like 20 years. I know I don't look old enough.
You do not look old enough.
So it's been my life really, and the way that kind of got me into wellness, well-being, and kind of sparked that interest was probably, it would have been about 7 or 8 years ago. I literally got a bit of a burnout. It's like I said, it's not a 9 to 5 job in any shape or form, and I thought, nah, I'm done with this, I'm out of here. And I found myself training as a massage therapist, and I got into holistic therapies, and it took me into a whole new world. I did inadvertently obviously coming into care because it's one of those things that if it's in you, it's in you. Yeah. But that's kind of where all the interest sparked really. And I've learned so much about looking after yourself, your mind, your body. It is about, for me personally, when we talk about well-being, what well-being is, it is that whole approach. Mm-hmm. So we know what we should be eating. We know that we should be moving. We know that we know a lot of this stuff because it's filtered into us. But also the element that I like to look at is the fact that if we know all this, why do we still struggle? What is it that goes on up here? Yeah, definitely. What goes on up here that stops us from taking action, or that stops us from being the best possible, versions of ourselves that we can be, really, and stops us from being happy and being happy and living our best life, really.
So when did that start for you? When did you start? So like your shift for you, obviously you've got the job, and this is such inspiration for any of you out there that have a job as a means to, to pay bills, to, you've got a career. You can do other things at the side that lift you up. You don't have to hit a glass ceiling just because you are in employment or you've got one business, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. So there's a few little things to my story, and like me and Danny were messaging this morning. I'm like, you're part of my story, and you don't even know it.
Oh, I don't
so that's
know
quite
it,
cool.
Sally.
I'll take you back to the end of 2019. I think that's a little bit of where things really kind of took a kick for me. In short, I was at the unhappiest I've ever been, to the point where I couldn't go to work. I couldn't, I couldn't leave the house. I was, when they say you're at the bottom, I was at the bottom. I literally had reached that kind of saturation point. And to give you some background to that, which is all part of what comes after and the really exciting stuff, is, I said, I won't go into too much detail, but I grew up in a home where domestic violence was an everyday thing. I call myself a childhood domestic violence survivor. So up until the age of 13, that was life. I had an alcoholic father, and all that kind of stuff was a day in, day out thing.
Right.
We were, my mother and my brothers were fortunate enough to be able to get out of that situation safely, and we were given some great support to enable us to do that. But what that led to then, like I said, it'll all come into context, is the fact that we've talked to some of the stuff that Lisa was actually just talking about the stories that we create around ourselves and who we are. What that led to for me was being stuck in a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of beliefs around myself and what happened to me as a child that I literally held on to, encapsulated for like nearly 3 decades.
Right.
3 decades.
I hear you. I did the same thing.
Yeah, it's craziness. So I had shit relationships. That was all because of the the issues I had growing up. I made shit choices about looking after myself. I'm sorry if I swear. I'm a bit of a swearer.
Don't you be sorry. You could drop a fuck or a booger on this show. It's all right. We are quite openly not safe for work.
That's good though, because that's me. So everything that kind of, yes, okay, I've achieved successes in my life, but a lot of the things that went wrong, I would easily go, it's because of that. It's because of what I went through. It's because of my dad. It's because of this. And then the kind of the changing point for me then was my father died at the beginning of 2017. So he passed away after quite a short illness. And I had built up myself as to when he passes, I'm going to be glad because he's gone, and and that's a line drawn. And actually what happened was the complete opposite. I was absolutely devastated. And what that did was rock the whole foundations of who I was as a person and everything that went on in my life. It literally made me question my whole entire life up to that point, because this one belief that I thought would happen didn't actually happen. And then what it set off was a catalyst for questioning everything else that I did and what I felt about myself and my life. Yeah. So and then between there, kind of the beginning of 2017, the end of 2019, I just lived on this roller coaster, and people hopefully can relate to this, where you kind of go, I'm okay, I'm all right, I can do this, I've got my shit together, and then you go, oh my god, I fucking can't.
I know I can't. Every day.
Yeah, and then you go, oh yeah, and you go through it, and you're a few months later, yeah, I could do this, I can cope with life, everything's all right, I'm okay with this, and then you go, oh no, I definitely can't.
No, I probably can't.
and literally, this was my life for say nearly 3 years, really. With work, with relationship I was in, with how I felt about myself and looking after myself and all these kind of things, till say we get to this end of 2019, and I've literally I'm at the point of, I really fucking can't do this. I've reached like this bit. So that was at the point at where it really was a case of, actually I do need some help now, and going and asking for that help and getting that help was kind of the first point then. And then it leads us into the beginning of 2020, and then these little rumblings of this COVID thing, this coronavirus starts happening. And there was a series of events then leading up to kind of lockdown and things like that, which is where Danny comes in.
I don't know this, so what you're telling me
No, I
now is
know.
brand new news.
So, beginning of March, 2020 was what we'll all remember as like the last normal weekend we had.
Yeah.
And at Woman Fest, where Danny was.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I remember about, well, obviously I remember meeting you, Danny, and like
Yeah.
your talk on stage. But the biggest thing I remember about you is you smelt so damn good.
Do you know what I was wearing? Look at this. It's called Girls Can Do Anything.
That's it. I remember us having a conversation about it, and I like to this day I still can't remember. But my overriding memory of you was, other than say listening to you on stage, was the fact that you smelt really good.
Yeah.
Like you kept
love
coming up
that.
to you going, "Oh, you're good."
I love it.
But Woman Fest, so that was the last weekend. I really wanted to go, and obviously part of a membership that you and some other ladies are in. We're all part of that, and I had no one to go with. I ended up booking a hotel room with someone in our membership group I'd never met before, never been to Manchester, nothing like that whatsoever. And I just thought, I'm going to go and do this. I need to do something for myself. I need to I've had this really, really shit time. And what happened during that weekend was I sat there and I listened to your story, Danny. I watched you on stage. I watched all the other amazing women on stage. And I thought, fuck, like I'm 41 years old and I don't even want to go home. I don't even want to deal with what's going on. I don't how, if all these women can do this and they can have these remarkable stories and all these transformations and the journeys and they can achieve what they want in life, why can't I? This is just, what have I got? I've got to do something here. I should not be sat here worrying about what's happening at work tomorrow, about whether I want to go home, whether I'm going to have an argument with my other half, whether I'm a good mother, whether I'm going to have, why am I why am I living in this space? Why am I existing? Why am I not? And it was truly inspiring. It really was a bit of a light bulb moment that made me think, if they can do it, why can't I? Why can't I? I have to do something, because if I don't, I'm gonna live to regret this. So it sparked. It was an absolute that weekend was so. It just came at the absolute perfect time for me. Really, really, really perfect time.
It's interesting because I think Woman Manifest was like that for a lot of people. There were hundreds of us there, and I remember having a lot of conversations in a similar way. Louisa Herridge is a perfect example of someone that came to Woman Manifest, and it was a real turning point for them. Yeah. And this is what happens for all of you watching when you allow yourself to participate. When you see the things that are going on and think, are they for me? Are they not for me? Even if you don't know, participate. Go and see, because when you do, you give yourself access to things that you would not have normally come across. What do you think to that, Sally? Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'd never done anything like that before. I'd been in, I'd met people and got to know people and all that stuff like that. But the thing of just booking a ticket, I mean, I live in Gloucester. I'm like hundreds of miles away. It's not like I'm popping up the road to go meet people.
Nipping around the corner.
I've never been anywhere I've been before, never met these people in person ever. And I just, it's that thing of sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith and say, it's that whole, that whole kind of saying, isn't it? If you keep doing the same thing day after day after day after day, nothing is ever going to change. No. You're just going to carry on being the same person that you are day after day after day. And like I said, at that point, I literally felt like I was existing. I was literally going through the motions every day. And I needed something to, almost like a bit of a jump start in it, when the car's playing up.
Yeah, you need to give it bring me to life. Kick up the bum.
Yeah, definitely. And so I spent those 2 days in Manchester, and it was just absolutely awe-inspiring. So that was, say, beginning of March, and then kind of what happened then was it's almost, when one thing kind of starts and then you get into this snowball effect.
Yeah, you can't help it. You're watching these things unfold around you and you're going,
what?
Okay. Okay.
How did that happen? So then this another, it's like one thing led into another. So we came back from Manchester on the Sunday. Unfortunately, during the course of that week and on the Friday, we lost my nan. So so we had a few days of being able to be with her, and she passed away on the Friday. But on the back of Womanfest, my nan, I mean, she was 94. She was like the real kind of head honcho of the family. She had
my
really
grandma was
strong
like that.
views. She had no issue in saying what she thought. You know, whenever I used to go and see her, she would go, "Oh, you're putting on a bit of timber there, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?" And then she'd go have a cake, and I'm like, "Hang on a minute." But her main thing, and her main thing was all about just do what makes you happy, just do what you need to do, and do what you want to do. About 9 months after she died, actually, she'd written letters for us about 8 years earlier, and her letter that she wrote to me ended with, "Just do what makes you happy," which is really kind of how all this unfolds, was really kind of, it all comes together. So we had my nan passing away, which again, putting that on top of spending a weekend with all these women with all their inspiring stories made me think, do I want to get to that? Do I want to get to the end of my life and think, fuck, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd been bolder. I wish I'd done exactly what I wanted to do instead of worrying about what everyone else thinks of me. And that's a whole nother subject, but
My gosh.
it
is it's a whole thing, but I'm
so
like this.
And then so Nan passes away. So we're now mid-March. I have got had a son who was in year 11. So we're looking at GCSEs. We then find out the schools are closing. We then find out GCSEs aren't happening. And
that must be
all
a
these
huge
things are starting to happen.
blow. That, I mean, even just for a second, it's a whole unrelated topic, but that must have been a huge blow, because if you think about it, when we were at school, the GCSEs were the end point for everybody, and all of a sudden they've taken the end point away. In fact, they've taken the whole thing out of their hands. So even if you're one of those, like I was one of those people that would turn up and like do all right at school, but go and ace an exam because I was fluky, I was a jammy sod like that. But for those people that really either put everything they got into school and they struggled, or if people thought, you know, oh well, if they've done the mocks, for example, and they're like, oh, it's all right, it's only a mocks, and then all of a sudden they're the differentiator for you. They're the ones that you think, oh.
Yeah, my son went through the same, because they were kind of said when he was doing his mocks, it was like literally the teacher was like, they're just mocks, it's a starting point.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. And he was like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? And you're right, you know, our kids are brought up in an education system where, especially when you get into secondary school, but even at primary school with SATs and stuff like that, but when you get into secondary school, everything you learn, all they talk about for 5 years is your GCSEs, your GCSEs, your GCSEs. And suddenly this rug got pulled out, and actually, no, don't worry about it, you're not doing it this year.
Yeah. And that must have been crazy. Anyway, carry on.
No, that's fine.
Such a funny position to be in.
No, it all just kind of adds up, really. So that kind of happened. Then these rumblings of lockdown, this lockdown, and we had no idea what lockdown meant at that point, really, did we? No clue whatsoever. This lockdown, and that there were going to be restrictions on what we could do and where we could go and working and all this kind of stuff. And at that point, then I literally thought, fuck, if I was in a relationship, and I would not speak ill of my partner at all at that point, and it's not about him, it's about me, but I was in a place, and I was in a relationship, and I was in a place where I was not happy in any shape or form. And this is about me. I really want to make that a point. He's a great guy. Sure. This was about me, but I was not happy. And I knew in that moment that if all these things that everybody was talking about was to happen, I was worried that I was going to leave myself in a place where I wouldn't be able to do anything about it, and I would lose all sense of control.
We end up getting, you know, everybody's felt this, particularly, you know, even if they're on their own, everything becomes under the microscope when you're spending a lot of time in a confined area with someone. If you're already unhappy, regardless of, you know, whether they're a good person or a bad person, that relationship's just come to its end or whatever.
Exactly.
It's very concentrated and magnified.
Definitely. And I think what didn't help for us was the fact that 3 months before my father died, he had a bereavement as well. So I think we were both dealing with our own stuff in a very different way. And I think we'd kind of got to this point. But to me, this was about suddenly, after all these events happening, all these thoughts, all these things have been triggered in my head, I felt like it was a case of I need to do something now. And COVID was the end really driving point. So we are now 3 days before lockdown. Lockdown is coming. We're waiting for Boris to
T-3, 3 days before
3 days. 3 days before lockdown. And Boris says you're all staying home. We've been grounded. I woke up one morning and I made the decision that I was leaving home.
Right.
And in the space of that day, I told my partner I was leaving home. I had the discussions with my son. I found somewhere to go. And I boldly and bravely never slept in my house again. I moved into a house the next morning, which had 2 days before lockdown, which had 2 beds, a fridge and a sofa.
Gosh.
No cooker, no curtain poles, no nothing. But I knew it was the right thing to do, and I knew it was the right thing to do for me.
Yeah.
And so I made this big, bold decision, and you can imagine the next couple of months were absolute chaos. I had no Wi-Fi. I'm trying to work from home on phone data, trying to run a care company, and it was absolute, like, it was craziness, absolute craziness. But oh my God, it was the best freaking thing I have ever done in my life.
This is the funny thing about, if you're in a relationship that is really unfulfilling and you're in a relationship that doesn't work, and not because of any one thing or any one person, and sometimes you've just got to accept it's not right. When it's like that, actually sometimes it makes it a little bit more difficult to leave, because there's no one thing that goes, you're a bastard, I want to leave, that's it, I'm off out of here. What you're doing is, the catalyst is you're choosing your happiness.
Yeah.
And that sometimes can feel very selfish. And I know lots of you out there have had these kind of conversations with me, that it's not about having this dramatic big breakaway and this bus stop. It's this, this quiet acceptance that there is more for you. And then when you realize that actually you're right, when you do make that break, you see there is more for you. And it's not selfish at all. It is a beautiful act of self-care that actually benefits everybody around you, including the person that you were in the relationship.
But you have to get to that point, don't you, in yourself? Like I said, that catalyst of getting to rock bottom, Women Fest happening, school shutting, GCSE, because I was thinking, I'm going to upset my son. I don't want to cause this upset. It's 3 months before his GCSEs, and then, and all the emotional stuff that comes from that. But suddenly all that was kind of taken away, and that realization that actually, what about me? What about me? What about, do you know what I mean? For once in my life, I'm going to make a bloody decision that is absolutely got fuck all to do with anybody else. And it's purely about me, because I've never, ever done it. I've never done it. So I did. And I made this big, bold decision. Like I said, it was absolute freaking chaos, absolute mayhem and chaos for months. And then kind of on the back of that is really where, like, I've kind of working with, in terms of setting up my kind of space in regards to well-being, in regards to my story, in regards to, really trying to create these getting people to take responsibility for themselves and creating their own plans and taking their own actions, and working through what stops people from really taking on board, say, that element of that health and happiness. And that's the two things. So, and that's been a whole journey for the whole of 2020. But everyone talks about COVID and how terrible it's been, and it's funny when Lisa was talking about making money during the pandemic. 2020 was the best year of my life in a very, very, very long time, and I almost feel a bit like, should I be
kind of survivor's guilt? Like, how do you say, actually it was an abundant time. It was difficult, don't get me wrong.
Of course it was. And tragic things happen to people. Tragic things.
100%. We lost family members. Family members lost family members. Friends lost people. It was, it was hard. But conversely, there were incredible wins and gains and learns and growth during that time as well, that I think that it's hard, isn't it? We've got to be careful about being tone deaf, but on the flip side, we've also got to maintain that it hasn't all been horrific. No. Even if you've learned something about yourself or made decisions about yourself, things might be falling down around you, but you might be sat there with a mug with your cup of coffee amongst the fire and actually go, do you know what? I'm learning something. There's still light in the darkness. There's still light in the darkness, and I think that's the important thing to be taken away right now.
Definitely, and it was such an enlightening year, and I spent a lot of that time. I think it's given a lot of people the pressure of, I know, like, I used to look at my diary or my calendar, like, outside of it, and I go, what have we got on the calendar this month? Nothing. But what it gave me, and I think it's possibly given a lot of other people as well, is time to just sit with themselves.
Yeah.
It's time just to, work through those things with their own thoughts, to start looking at the future, because I think we started to do was really look to the future and what that future would hold for us. And I know I personally did. I looked very inwardly during that time because I had the time to do it. When I wasn't working, what else could you do other than go for a walk? I'm reading, I'm absorbing, I'm thinking, why am I feeling like this? Why am I thinking like this? And I took it as a real kind of time where I did have the opportunity to do a lot of inner work and a lot of personal development. And that kind of takes us to the beginning of 2021 then. It's what FIdel was talking about as a challenge. So beginning of 2021, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I see this run for Refuge, the Refuge charity, so supporting people, women and children coming from domestic violence. And it's to run 100 miles in February. And I look at it and go, and then I just carry on scrolling, And then for some reason it kept coming up. And then one day I decided to sign up. I don't know what prompted that. I've done a little bit of running, but certainly not to that extent. But what it allowed me to do, because you have to do a fundraising page, don't you, for stuff like this? And so I had to create my own fundraising page, and I decided for the first time in my life to talk about my story and what I grew up with as a kid. And I'd never done it. It'd always been something I'd been embarrassed about. I'd been shameful about. I don't want people to know that about me, but I took the opportunity and I put it out there. I put it out there in the world for all of my friends and family to see. And again, it felt like shedding dead skin, literally shedding dead skin.
It really does when you share that story and you allow yourself to own it. And it isn't, once you start to share that story, what happens is actually you become powerful again. It wasn't something it was something that happened to you, but you become empowered by that story. You take back control over that story. Even if you relinquished control at the time, you become that person who you are now becomes powerful by owning that story. And that's a real take back. That's a reclamation. The whole I Am the Queen movement is based on this reclamation of taking back power of your story and sharing that, your mission or your business, whatever it is. And you suddenly, that's a very powerful thing to do.
It was literally like when I pressed that post on Facebook, I literally could have vomited in my hands. Because again, you're literally like, oh, because you don't, you suddenly start thinking, what are people going to say? Are people going to look at me differently? Are people going? And what actually happened was I had a lot of people reach out to me with their own personal stories, and a lot of people were like, wow, I never knew anything about this about him. So it's amazing that you can be this open and honest. But then when we got to the 1st of February, and then I was like, shit, I've actually got to run a freaking 100 miles now.
Run 100 miles.
But what I did was I kind of planned for it. I got myself all sorted out. And that's kind of a lot of what I talk about with my little community and the people that are around me is around actually taking action. We can all talk about that we want to do this, that we want to learn how to, we want to learn how to ski, we want to lose 10 pounds, we want to we want to get a new job, we want to move on in our lives or change relationships. We all talk about it, but what have you actually got to frigging do to make it happen? Because it isn't happening unless you're making a bloody plan. Things don't just drop in your lap, not very often, do they? You actually
and we wait for that. It's always tomorrow, or it'll happen tomorrow. I'll wait. I'll do it when. I'll do it when this happens. And you're waiting for permission, or waiting for it to drop into your lap, and you realize actually when you choose, you start to take back control. You suddenly become the powerful one. People, all the time say to me, how do you do everything you do with such power? It's because I decide to press go live every single day for a year. I decide to, put out products and services that sometimes I don't even know they're going to work. No. I decide that I'm going to show up. Decide I'm going to connect with people. Decide I'm going to build my team. Decide I'm not going to let my past dictate my future anymore. And it's a decision. And even if the thing that's happening to you isn't your decision, and we were saying this yesterday we had Kirsty Jackson-Perrin on yesterday. She was brilliant. Talking about you still could choose your reaction. You can still choose your reaction to your situation. So Sally, what now then for you?
What now? Well,
Now you've run 100 mile.
Now I've 100 miles and run my trainers out. Yeah. For me now, I have found where I'm at and then what I'd like to help other people with. So for me, work is starting to settle down now. I've never loved my job more. It was always a stress. It was always that living that 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I've found a really good balance between how I balance my personal life, my work life. I have met a new man.
Oh, yeah, you have.
So that is absolutely brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Starting a fresh relationship with a whole fresh approach to life is amazing. My son's at college. We got through, he had a real rough ride with lockdown. Really, 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 really rough. But he's at college, so he's excelling. And for me now, it's about, for me, what I really want to do is to be able to, exactly what you're just talking about, is to share my experiences and to share my story. And all I want to do is inspire other people. I want to inspire other people that are sat there thinking, is this it? That are on autopilot, that are existing, that know that they could be doing more, that know that they want to be doing more, that they can actually do it. It might not happen overnight. It might not happen whatever, but you can do it. You can make choices and you can make big, bold decisions and you can take that action that's going to take you that little bit further forward. It doesn't matter whether you're in a frigging pandemic. It doesn't matter whether you've had a shit upbringing. All these things are they're just things, aren't they? You can change it all. You can turn your life into what it's going to be. I've got plans for the future. I'm like I said, I'm working with my community. There are things that I want to do in terms of my business and how I grow my business. And I know that's not going to happen overnight. Not when I'm doing what I'm doing. Like you said, the balance with the job and the business. I've got a great balance at the moment. I'm doing. I know where I want to go. I know the action and I know the things that I want to do to get there. But anyone else can do it. You do not have to put up with your lot. You do not have to sit there and accept that this is it. That I'm that okay life.
Yeah, just enough. Like, oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. When there is so much more available to us. Sally, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story with us this morning.
Thank you for having me,
phenomenal to hear. I'm so proud of you. I know, like, it feels glib, but it's amazing when we hear these stories. And one of the reasons why we have this show here is to inspire people. If we're looking at showing up, wising up and rising up, we rise up when we do it together. We rise up when we realize that we are not on our own. That little girl that went through the things that she went through in your family, and the little girl that was me that went through the things that I went through with my family, them little girls aren't alone anymore. Them little girls went through it together, and them little girls now get to link arms and say, this doesn't have to happen anymore. We get to choose our outcomes.
Absolutely.
I love it. Oh, God, getting me all emotional. Sally, thank you for joining us. How do people come and hang out with you?
So I found me on Facebook, Sally Lorimer at Beauhill Wellbeing. I've also got, if you really want to connect with me, I've got my group, which is called the Wellbeing Warriors. Lovely, lovely group of people. And then say on Instagram as well, Beauhill Wellbeing. Luckily, I've got a name that's quite unusual and I'm very easy to find.
I love it. Sally Lorimer, thank you so much for joining us on the show at Rise Up Show.
Cheers, Danny. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody.
You too.
Have a good day.
Go and check Sally out. What a phenomenal story. What a show. Today, not only did we kick things off with a little preamble to be inspired with the phenomenal Lisa Johnson and the glorious FIdel Beauhill, we just had that amazing, astonishing story from Sally, where she come from, where she is now, and what she's looking forward to. And hopefully that's put a little bit of fuel in your fire to head on into the weekend and beyond, taking back control. It's been a real mindset based week this week here in the Hive, in the IATQB community. And I'm hoping that, we're going to spill that over into next week as well, especially with Be Inspired on Thursday and Friday. FYI, there'll be no show Thursday and Friday next week. You'll have to get yourself a ticket to Be Inspired. If you are sitting on the fence, jump off. It's £106. That's inclusive of VAT. £89 excluding VAT for 2 full days. Plus, from every one of our speakers, there are extra bonuses, mini courses, workshops, masterclasses, workbooks, books, all sorts of stuff. And it's absolutely ridiculous value for what is going to prove to be a life-changing event for a lot of you. You heard Sally just talk then about going to a manifest. And it's an example of someone taking a chance on an event and going and changing their lives. You've heard how she's done it. And it's just such an honor to know that I was a little bit of a catalyst during that journey, that decision-making process for Sally. So get your ticket. You are sat on absolute gold. From spiritual development, business development, personal development, everything in between. We have got something just for you. You will take something away from someone. Plus, we have that fantastic PR media panel where you're going to have direct access to national press journalists. So come on, shape yourselves. If you do anything for yourself this weekend, it's go to @theQueenBee Danny on Instagram. Go to the link in my bio. Go and buy your ticket. Do it now. It's not just a treat for yourself, it's an investment in your future. You are a bunch of belters. Thank you for sharing this week with me once again on the Show Wise and Rise Show. I will be back on Monday doing more of the same as we head on into Be Inspired Week. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I hope you are too. I'll see you on Monday. Have a phenomenal weekend. I love you.